All right, my lovely Alvarez fans, it's Nick from Claret and Booze. I hope you're all well. Welcome to my daily ramble. As always, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Don't forget, drop a like on the video. That's the most important bit. That does really help us. We've got loads to talk about today, but I'm going to start off on a more sombre message to our own Julian Lopetegui. Very, very sad. His dad passed away at the age of 94 overnight, and this does go some way to explaining the physical deterioration of Julian in the past few months. We've all attributed that to his struggles on the pitch, but clearly there's been a lot going on off the pitch. We know that he went back home in the international break to see his dad, so he's been unwell for some time. So this has been a crap time for Lopetegui all around. Might go some way to explaining why a few of the players, namely Lucas Paqueta, sort of went over and showed him a little bit of love the other day as well. So look, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen moving forwards? But we're going to talk about everything. We've got transfer rumours, players out, players in, players staying, players going, and then we're going to look at the potential. Can Lopetegui sort of turn this around? Can he? Right. Okay. First of all, I'm going to start off with, as I said to you, I think it was about 2 weeks ago now. I've come to the conclusion now. Well, look, I've come to the. I'm accepting that we are where we are. Not happy with it, but unless I want to be moaning the entire time, which I'm sure that you don't want to listen to, I'm going to kind of try and go along with what we've got for the moment in the hope that either it comes good or it will run its course and a change does happen. Of course, we're all frustrated with players being played out of position. We know Kudus shouldn't be played on the left. We know this. But I think we need to sort of take our focus off of the likes of Kudus, because this is a player that does want to leave. He does. And he has wanted to leave since the start. Well, since the summer window. He wanted to go then. I did put this story out just after the season started, and I got torn apart as usual. And I did say Liverpool as well. I said that they're lining up a bid in January, and everyone went, no, he's not going to be going in January. Well, as it turns out, now it's not just Liverpool. There's a few other teams as well, including Newcastle. But look, let's face it, he is the perfect Mohamed Salah replacement. He is. He doesn't want to be here. And as far as I'm concerned, wish him well. You know, thanks for what you've done in the past season. But if you don't want to be here, I don't really want you here. I'll be perfectly honest. I don't. Great player, but there's loads of good players out there. We've got loads still at the club. The only stumbling block, which is a big one, is the fact that West Ham have slapped a 100 million price tag on him. Now, when you consider he's got an 85 million price tag, sort of clause which activates for 1 month and 1 month only in the summer, every summer, for the duration of his contract, it does make you wonder why somebody would go that extra 15 million to get him in January. But if it's a difference between winning a title and not, maybe somebody would. Also, there'll be more people competing for him in the summer as well. I mean, you're only going to pay 85 million, but then you're going to be competing on wages and whatever else. He is a great player. But again, I'm struggling to think that anyone's going to pay anywhere near that. 85 million after last season, I'd have said yes. He was brilliant. He was fantastic. But herein lies the issue, Mr. Sullivan. When you intend to cash in on your players, why do you bring in managers that depreciate them? That doesn't make sense. Again, further illustration of your false economy. You ain't going to get 100 million. I will eat my hat live on screen if we get 100 million for him. We won't. I don't even think we'll get 85. He ain't been worth it. I know we can say he's been played out of position, but we have seen him on the right as well. He ain't the same player this year. Now, we can all say, oh, that's because he's got the ump. He don't like the system. Well, whatever. If he's going to go, I'd rather he just went and we can move on with our lives. But will he go? I don't know. I can see us I think we'll end up selling him for less than 85 million. I reckon more like 70. I know we're asking for 100, but that is where I think that we'll go. And I know a lot of people are going to be up in arms about that. Listen, I'd sell him. I really would. At this point, I know it's frustrating, and we can all turn around and say, if we'd have gone and got another manager in, he wouldn't have wanted to have gone. Well, yeah, he would. If he wants to go and play Champions League football, we weren't going to be a Champions League team, was we? He was using us, as a lot of these players do, as a stepping stone. So I do think that Kudus will move. I don't think he'll move for what the club want him for. I think that's their own, again, whatever they wanted for him, whatever he was worth in the summer, again, talking about the false economy, this is a price you pay for going out and scrimping on a manager. It could have been worth more if it had been performing. But no, so they've got to do that apparently because we've spent so badly and so poorly over the past 6 years, let's face it. We've spent $650 million in 5 years or 6 years. And now we've arrived back at the stage where we need to sell probably our best player in order to reinvest in positions that should have been covered ages ago, namely the striker position. So we need a forward. They've finally realised Fulkrug don't want to be here, and he was never the right person anyway. I said that at the start. I said that when we signed him. And one thing that surprised me the other day, I thought throw Fulkrug on. He's a target man. You can throw balls at him. He'll win it. He'll win balls against defenders. Well, he didn't. He ain't that great at that. If you whip a ball into him when he's running into the box, he'll get his head on it. But I didn't see him win any duels against big centre-backs. He made a good little slip side rule sort of pass into Kudus. So he's a link-up player. He's like Skamaka. He's like Haller. He ain't the big, bustling, powerful powerhouse that I thought that he was. He's not. He doesn't overpower the centre-backs that he's going up against. Not anywhere near in the same way that Antonio did. And added to that, Antonio can run the channels as well. So he's not the right man. He does need to go. He wants to go as well. He knows he's bitten off more than he can chew at West Ham. That's part of the reason he's homesick. He knows the Premier League ain't for him. So I think we're going to see Fulkrug go. He's, sad, but whatever. Another one. Move on. Go. Won't get a lot for him. Won't get anywhere near 27 million. You'd be lucky to get 15 for Fulkrug. You will. So that's another big hit. I reckon at least a £12 million hit on him. We will make money on Kudus because we bought him for 35, but not anywhere near as much as what they thought they were going to. So that's two players. We know that Guido's likely to be going back where he came from, back to Betis. He's going to be going as well. And the other one is Edson Alvarez. Now, this is an interesting one because Edson Alvarez is a player that I absolutely adore, and I've defended him relentlessly throughout this season, where, let's face it, he's been shit. I saw it the other day. Again, it was definitive proof he was poor. And I do think that he was possibly more suited to a team that did play in a regimented low block, solid structure, didn't have to move about a lot, knew what he was doing. What Lopetegui is trying to do, he's trying to play a possession-based game, but we're failing. We're failing at the first stage. We're all seeing it ourselves. We're seeing balls passed along the back line and no options when we're being pressed. We can't beat a press, so we end up hoofing it long. Well, look at Man City without Rodri. That position, that number 6 position, is vitally important. They're like the metronome of the team. They make everything tick. They start the attack off, so that they're kind of there to clean up the mess and not be rash, not be crazy. They're supposed to be clear of mind, make good decisions. It's all about decision making. And more importantly, they're the first kind of port of call for the centre-backs to pass out to, and then they make good decisions. They draw in opposition. They detect, press triggers, and they allow the team to get out and pass out and progress up the pitch the natural way rather than just launching it long. We did see Soler, who isn't a CDM, perform that role, dropping back, splitting the two CDMs, baiting the press and making the pass at the right time so that by the time whoever he's passed it to has received that ball, he's got space in beyond the player who's just pressed Soler. So we didn't see that with Alvarez. We don't. He just he gets the ball. Everything's rash. He's hot-headed. This could be down to the fact that we're playing in a way that he knows doesn't suit him and he is exposed because he's a slow CDM and there's loads of space in midfield. He probably feels very exposed. But yeah, I am of the opinion now, if we're going to persist playing the way that we're playing, Alvarez probably needs to go as well. But here's another one. He ain't going to be worth much more than what we paid for him now. This was a player that was linked with a move to Man United for about 80 million. You ain't getting 80 million for Alvarez now. Lopetegui has basically exposed Alvarez's flaws. Again, I know that Lopetegui wants to play the way he wants to play, but you've got to play to your teams and your personnel strengths if you want to get the very best out of the players that you've got. He hasn't done that. He's exposed quite a few players. Alvarez, sadly, is one of them. Playing this way, he's no Rodri and he's no Rice. He doesn't seem to possess that same sort of football intelligence, you know. Really, I love him. Really tenacious player. But I don't think he can operate and play that role in this team if we're going to build on what we're doing and try to play this style of football. So I think that maybe Alvarez could go and all. And you're probably sitting there thinking, Nick, what are you talking about? How can we sell all them players? So what we're talking about now, we're talking Fore, we're talking Kudus, we're talking Alvarez, and Guido. So you're looking at, I reckon collectively, you're going to be looking at around about 100 to 120 million recouped from all of that. Because Lucas Paqueta ain't going anywhere. I know you've all read his tweet and you've all got excited because it was a religious song and he's a fucking Catholic and he just wrote a few lyrics. It was a very poignant sort of religious message. Everyone was sort of crossing their fingers, thinking he's going to go back home. Why would you cross? What's your problem with Lucas Paqueta? He's one of our best players, and I don't care. Give me shit in the chat. I love him. The only reason his picture ain't back up on the wall is because I've lost the wire. I love him. I think he's going to stay. We saw the way he kissed that badge with purpose. I know we've seen it before with Arnie. He ran over. He gave Lopetegui the cuddle. Then afterwards, he did the post-match interview in very, very, lovely, broken English, basically saying he loves us, loves the fans, he loves West Ham. He ain't going anywhere. He ain't. Because he ain't worth fuck all at the minute anyway. So, unless he gets banned, he's staying at West Ham. Lucas Paqueta's our man. So we've still got some fairy dust in the team, which is very important. We can't lose all our world-class players. We can't. So, retaining Lucas Paqueta, making 120 million, this probably means that we're going to go out and have a good spend-up in January. Now, is it going to be John Duran? I don't know. I don't know whether Villa are going to let him go because at the moment they're starting him in front of Watkins. He would be worth far more now, I think, at this stage than what he would have been. I spoke to someone about 2-3 weeks ago, and they said the deal could still be on for January, but I'm not too sure now. I mean, it could still be on, but not for the money that we was offering for him. He's proper. He's got everything. I watched him in a game in the Champions League, and he got everything you need from a striker. Everything. Every component that a striker needs. Pace, power, movement, everything. Finishing. Class player. Missed out. Never going to live that one down. But there's more players out there. There's loads of them. So I will do a show coming up soon about strikers. I'm going to include Joanne as well, just for shits and giggles. But strikers that I've been told that we're linked with. So I will release some names. And some other ones that are out there as well. And we'll do a comparison because getting a new striker in is vitally important. But it is no more important. In fact, I don't think it's as important as going out and recruiting a number 6. Now, great number 6s, they're rarer than rocking all shit. That's why Declan Rice went for over 100 million. A CDM. Yeah, just a CDM. It's the most important part of the team. They keep everything ticking. So we've got to go out. This is what I mean. Alvarez ain't a bad player, but that is such a complex position to play when you're playing the way that we want to. When you're playing football, they're the most important part of the team. They are. They knit defence to midfield. They start the transition. They get you up the field. Otherwise, you just end up launching the ball long. So we do have to go out and get that new CDM. So 2 key positions for me that we've got to address. And I'd be happy if we spent all 120 million on 2 players. A striker and a top-class CDM. If we can throw in an energetic box-to-box midfielder as well, I'll be very happy. Someone in the mould of a Fofana or a powerhouse in midfield, because we do need legs. I think we'll be all right. Don't forget, we've still got Guilherme, who's yet to come through. We've got Somerville, who's looking better and better. So he basically replaces Kudus because we've only been using Kudus on the left-hand side anyway. So I don't think that Kudus will be a massive miss for us. We kind of saw life without them two anyway. Look, I'm going to be heartbroken if they go. I know how good they would be with a manager that played football the right way and used them to their strengths. I know that, but we ain't got it. So what's the point? What's the point? Let's just build on what we've got. Losing a couple of great players that don't want to be here and replacing them with a couple of great players that do, that's a good thing, isn't it? It's a good thing. So hopefully we do that business. There's only a 7-point gap at the moment between us and 6th place. So who knows? With all the shit that Lopetegui's been dealing with, you know, he's been struggling to get a handle on his squad, on his group. He really has. Maybe things could start to click. It could. You know, the team might start to actually understand what it is that he wants from them, and we'll maybe for once we'll just go out and we'll get it bang on. Our January business typically ain't very bad, if you count Danny Ings out, but it typically isn't very bad. You know, if when we need players in this sort of situation, we've been quite good in the past. So I do hope that something happens. Marcus Rashford has been mentioned, and yeah, I've talked myself out of that one. I don't want him. I don't want Rashford. That's too much of a risk. You know, he's on 300 grand a week at Man U. Don't want him. I don't. He's a great player. If we got him in, I'd support him, but I'd be worried. Just another fucking fancy Dan ex-Man U TikTok bloke like Lingard. I don't want any players like that. So I think there's far better options out there. Yeah. So what are your thoughts anyway on all of that? It's a lot to digest. There's a lot of changes coming up. And do you think there is any way that this could all swing around? So after Christmas, we go out, we get rid of some players that don't want to be here and probably could be causing a bit of disharmony because they don't want to be here. You know, they're not trying, they're not giving everything. They might not fit. Get rid of them, go out and bring in some players that do. The players that remain are starting to sort of gel and get used to this new system of play that Lopetegui wants. Who knows? Who knows? Funnier things have happened. I'm not convinced because, you know, a lot of the stuff that I've seen from Lopetegui has raised serious, you know, alarm bells, red flags all over the place, from his in-game management to his team selections to everything else. And most importantly, the fact that he tries to play the system rather than the players. So it's his system first. It doesn't matter what players he's got. That's mad. That's mad. But if he goes out and gets the players for his system, we could see some success. You know, we're in this situation now. What choice have we got? What choice have we got? You know, we don't know. So we could see gradual improvements. If we was to go out and maybe get a result against Brighton, and that's not unlikely, they've not been playing that great the last few. I think they've lost 4 on the bounce, haven't they? We could go and beat them. Then we've got Southampton. So look, you don't know. You don't know. If it all goes Pete Tong, he's going to go. He's going to go and we'll go and get fucking Graham Potter in. Or worse yet, Moyes. So either way, we're going to be frustrated on the manager front. We are. So as it stands at the moment, I'm fed up with the chopping and changing. I'm not convinced with Lopetegui for the future, by the way. I don't see Lopetegui seeing his contract out. I think he goes in the summer. If he stays here for this season, I think he gets replaced in the summer. I think what we'll see is a team being built to play a certain way, and Lopetegui is also trying to deliver this style, which I think is part of the problem because he hasn't really delivered this type of football before. So he's kind of learning on the job as well. He's been mandated to play a style of football that he's never played before. I mean, how mental is that? It's a Premier League. Everyone's learning on the job. So we'll see. He might get to grips with it, but ultimately I think he'll go because he has been a bit of a floppy Teggy. And we'll go out and we'll get someone else in the summer. But hopefully, I just don't want to see a disaster recovery manager come in. Not really. You know, I don't want to see a Potter or a Moyes or an O'Neill come in and have 2 or 3 great months and then we fucking give them a 5-year contract. No. Get through do the best that we can do this season. We ain't going to go down, and we go again next summer. Hopefully, he'll be a little bit more ambitious with his managerial appointment next summer. He might do. He might have learned from this mistake. I won't hold my breath. Of course he ain't learned. But we shall see. Anyway, look, that's it from me. I've rambled on enough. We are going to be back later on. So there's going to be a live at 8 p.m. I'm going to be doing a phone-in. And we're going to be talking about all the points I've just discussed in this video. There's loads. Loads to get your teeth into. So I'm keen to hear what you lot think about all this. All right? Speak to you all soon. Come on, you irons.